Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. In the description of this video, you can find my compiled link. Through there, you can find ways to support the channel, my other social media, and more. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. How's it going, everybody? CJ here, back in another video. We're doing a first thoughts today. This first thoughts is on Kellan the Kid. This is a Bant card that oozes value. 3 mana, 3/3 flyer, and whenever you're casting a spell from anywhere outside your hand, you get to put a permanent card with lesser mana value into play. It's super cool. I'm a fan of this and I'm excited to build this myself. And we're just gonna hop right on into ways you can cast cards from anywhere but your hand so that we can get that trigger going. We've got a lot of different options. The first one I wanted to mention is Highlander. This card just seems pretty cool, neat in the deck. There's Chaos Wand. Most of the cards here I'm gonna talk about are permanent because it works better with Kellan's ability. So Chaos Wand is a good way to get instants and sorceries via your opponents. Dazzling Sphinx, Diluvian Primordial, Durnan is pretty cool, Evolving Door, Knowledge Pool is a fun way to steal your opponent's stuff while also casting things from exile. Mind's Dilation, similar way to steal stuff from your opponents. Sarah Paragon is perfect for this deck, being able to cast things from your graveyard. Synthesis Pod is just kind of an interesting card that could work in this deck. The Key to the Vault seems awesome, especially because Kellan is flying. There's a lot of cards that let you cast spells from the top of your library, which works really well with Kellan, and a lot of them specifically let you cast creatures from the top of your library, so I think a creature-heavy build would be perfect. Cards like Assemble the Players, Augur of Autumn, Cemetery Illuminator, Case of the Locked Hothouse, which also can ramp you, Elven Chorus, Magus of the Future and Future Sight, Jacob Hawken, which also gives you card selection, which is nice, Rashmi. Depending on your build, Sigarda could work well in the deck. Same thing with the Fourth Doctor. It all depends on the way you build your deck, if you have a lot of Humans of Angels or if you have a lot of Legends. The Reality Chip. There's 2 different Vivians that work really well, and Vizier of the Menagerie also lets you cast spells off the top of your library. Conduit of Worlds gives you additional access to your graveyard, including your lands. Ethereal Valkyrie is pretty interesting. The Foretold Soldier just comes back over and over and over again from exile. It's perfect. It just gets you tons of triggers. And Malcolm. If you wanted to make this deck more instant and sorcery heavy, there's a few cards that work really well to cast instants and sorceries specifically from anywhere but your hand, and those include cards like Glamdring, God Eternal Kefnit, Jadzi, Precognition Field, Gale and Mission Briefing, both getting them from the graveyard, River Song's Diary, Skyway Robber, that card's pretty cool, Sword of Once and Future, which is really nice because of the fact that you've got a flying commander, Snapcaster Mage, and Oher Pak Patik. If you're casting all these spells from exile, Osgood seems perfect for the deck, along with Sage of Beyond and Vega for just additional triggers. There are a handful of non-permanent cards that seem worthwhile to throw into the deck to get cast triggers from outside your hand. Those include cards like Bring to Light, Feral Encounter, which is also removal, which is nice. Gaia's Will, this seems like an auto-include because you suspend it and you cast it from exile, and then it lets you cast stuff from your graveyard, which also triggers Kellan. Just seems perfect for the deck. Cosmic Intervention is a Foretold card that can protect your board. Doomscar, a board wipe that you cast from exile. Raven Form, similar, removal. And Surge of Brilliance. There's a handful of mechanics that regularly let you cast things from exile. One of those is Adventures. There's a lot of really good adventure cards in Bant. There are better adventure commanders, but some of them may be worth running in the deck just because you're getting those triggers. Some of the cards I wanted to mention are Beanstalk Worm and Beanstalk Giant, Blessed Hippogriff, Brazen Borrower, Giant Killer, Horned Lock Whale. There's 2 different Kellans that seem cool. The Simic one I think is a little better for the deck. Realm Cloak Giant and Threadbind Click. Another mechanic that lets you cast things from exile is Cascade. There's a lot of good Cascade cards that seem worth throwing in or at least thinking about when you're building this deck. You've got cards like Apex Devastator, which is really expensive, but you're going to be able to ramp a lot with this commander, whether you're putting permanents into play or lands. You're going to be able to generate a lot of mana. Ardent Plea, Shardless Agent, Sakashima's Protege, and Stormcaller's Boon. That one's nice because it gives all your stuff flying and it can be a finisher. Personally, I think the best build for this is going to be a creature heavy deck. And there's a lot of cards that do something when a creature enters the battlefield or when you cast a creature spell. So there's a lot of options that you can throw into this deck for that additional value. You got cards like Beast Whisperer, Soul of the Harvest, Chulane, Primordial Sage, Great Henge, and Guardian Project for card draw. Cemetery Prowler and Cemetery Protector seem pretty cool. Dovescape seems disgusting in this deck if you're really creature heavy. God Eternal Oketra can create a lot of extra tokens. Gwenna can ramp you and then also can get kind of big and untap and ramp more. Inga and Essica can turn all your creatures into mana dorks and card draw. Karametra gives you more ramp. Oketra's Monument reduces the cost of your creatures and generates creatures. Rona's Monument seems pretty neat in the deck. It makes your creatures cost less, nice, but it can also make Kellan into a pretty big threat for commander damage if you cast enough creatures. And since Kellan has flying, it won't be that hard to get in multiple hits. The new Selvala, which generates creatures and also a lot of mana. Silverback Elder, removal is the big thing here, life gain if you need it, lands if you need it. Lonis to generate clues. Torrens, more token generation. Zendikar Resurgent, card draw plus double your mana. Aura Shards, it generates a lot of salt, but I love this card. It's a great removal piece in a deck like this. And Bramble Sovereign, just double up your creatures, why not? There's a handful of cards that I previously mentioned that lets you cast spells from your graveyard, and if you're going to go that route, there's a few cards I wanted to specifically talk about that seem really good inside of a graveyard recursion style deck. River Kelpie and Secrets of the Dead can draw you cards, and Thalia's Geistcaller can generate tokens and also sticks around. It's pretty hard to remove. And lastly, there are two other creatures I just wanted to mention. Bibblethip actually seems really nice in this deck because it's easy to cast it from the top of your library using a lot of the cards I previously mentioned, and when you do, it draws you 2 cards. That's just pretty nice. And then you also have Green Slime. It's foretold and it can destroy things and also counter abilities, which is pretty cool. That is everything I have for Kellan the Kid. I hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you next time. Peace out, everybody.